Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Masterson. I'm CEO of the Greater Union Township Chamber of Commerce, but I'm also proudly the president of the board of directors of the YMCA, the Gateway Family YMCA. And I welcome you to our second annual virtual wine tasting event. On behalf of our entire board, our administration, and our staff who've worked very hard on this event, I want to say that we thank you very much for your time tonight and for your support. And we hope that you have an enjoyable evening and you've gathered with some friends. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Joe Venezia, the chair of our leadership council, and Laura Bretzker, who is the chair of this committee that put this together in conjunction with Colleen Clayton. You've all done a wonderful job. And the purpose of tonight really is one reason and one reason only, and that's to support the YMCA as it supports our youth. The proceeds from tonight's event will be going to provide financial assistance for the youth who attend our camp. A very important cause, and we have many, many, many children who could use our support in being able to enjoy the summer, enjoy the outdoors and the exercise. So thank you, relax, have a good evening. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Melinda Disla, who is the CEO of the Gateway Family YMCA. Melinda, take it away.
Thank you, Jim. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening to support summer camp financial assistance. I especially want to thank our grant sponsors, the Columbia Bank Foundation and Statewide Sanitation Services, and our other sponsors, Elberon Development Group, Natoli Construction, and Versi Vino. I also want to recognize my board and staff for their unwavering support. Through the collective generosity of our donors like you, our dedicated community partners, and supportive grant funders, we can ensure access to vital programs and services at our YMCA year after year. Last year, our summer camp program enriched the lives of over 800 children. Because of your support with tonight's fundraiser, we can provide 39 children with a life-changing summer camp experience that offers new opportunities and instills a sense of belonging and growth. I want to share a couple of brief quotes from our camp families. I am beyond grateful for what camp has brought to our family's life, from new friendships to fun experiences, water safety, and family events to help us share moments together. We really can't thank you enough. My child has always looked forward to the summertime because she knows she will be attending your camp and seeing all her friends. The bonds she has created with her friends and the counselors will forever be appreciated. And now her siblings will be able to experience this as well. Our work continues beyond tonight. If you're interested in donating or learning about our upcoming fundraisers, you can do so online at tgfymca.org. Your support is not just appreciated, it is essential to our success. We are truly grateful for the pivotal role you play in our journey. Now I'm thrilled to introduce Christine Zubris, owner of Versi Vino Wine Bar and Kitchen in Maple Shade, New Jersey. Christine will take us on a summer wine tour this evening. So let's raise our glasses and embark on this delightful journey together. Christine?
Thanks, Melinda. All right, let's get rolling here. Hope everyone has their wine out. Everything is accessible. And I'm going to share my screen and let's get into drinking some wine. Okay, folks, tonight's a really fun night because we're going to begin our summer. I mean, summer has officially begun, I guess, after Memorial Day, and maybe not officially on the calendar, but tonight we're going to roll into some summertime wines because it's beautiful outside and it's time to take advantage of the great weather and let's do a little bit of drinking, even though you might be inside for tonight. Maybe you're outside, maybe you're inside. Wherever you are, it's going to be a fun time. There is a little chat feature. I want to just call that out to you. There's a little chat feature. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask there. Also, I may ask for a little input during class, and you're welcome to answer there as well. If you just send it to host and panelists, that's great. Again, if you want to participate during class, just use the little chat feature. Let's get rolling into some wines. Just wanted to give you a little background on who I am and why I could speak about wine. I'm a certified specialist of wine. I'm a certified sommelier with the Court of Master Sommeliers. I own a restaurant. I pick all the wines for the restaurant, so restaurant and wine bar. And just last fall, Edible Jersey Magazine did a really nice article about the women changing the wine industry in New Jersey. And that's me right in the middle, smelling a glass of something bubbly. And just a couple months ago, we had a nice write-up in a new wine review website about Versi Vino. So I do know a few things about wine. I love wine. I got into wine because, of course, I not just love drinking it. I love everything about wine. I love reading about wine and learning about wine. And of course, I like to drink wine and sharing wine with my friends and family, because that's the best part. All right, so let's roll into what we're doing tonight. So thank you for being here. Thanks for participating. Thanks for supporting the cause. We love helping kids go to summer camp. So this is our bundle of wine that you have. So you should have a package of cheese and a bundle of wine. And I hope you chilled a couple of the wines, because they're not going to taste as good if they're not chilled. So our 4 wines tonight, we're having some bubbly to start. I like to start all of my meals, all of my experiences with a little bit of sparkling wine. Then we're going to jump into a white wine called Evolucio. Then we'll go into rosé, and we'll finish with the red. What about the cheese? So our cheese pack has 4 different cheeses. Each cheese will be paired with one of the wines. This is a repeat. So if this is your second wine event that you've attended with us, you will know that we used this cheese last year. I love this cheese. It's a great cheese. It cuts nicely. But this is called Cana de Cabra. This is going to go with wine number 1. Then we have Blue Perzola. This is a blue cheese. Again, this is the one that might be a little stinky, but I do implore you to please try it. Even if you're not a massive blue cheese fan, this cheese might change your life, or at least change your mind. The third cheese that we're going to be tasting with our wine, or eating with our wine, is the Queso de Oveja con Flores. So this actually has some dried edible flowers on the outside of the cheese. And the last cheese for our final wine is the San Simon. This cheese comes from Spain, and it has this really nice orange color on the outside because it sees a little bit of smoking, an actual smoking process for about 90 minutes of the cheese. But I'll talk about all these cheeses once we get into the meat of the class. All right, so let's start with some wine tasting basics. So whenever you have your first wine in your glass, you definitely want to sniff inside, right? Sniff the wine first. You may want to swirl it a little bit. You may want to sniff it again, and then sniff it a third time. And when we're sniffing, we're looking for flavors and aromas that we might just be familiar with our normal lives. No need to make anything up. If it smells like apples, if it just smells like wine, if it smells like cherries or strawberries or watermelon Jolly Rancher, whatever it smells like is what you think it smells like. Everyone has a different olfactory and different ability to smell and taste. So whatever you think is what you think, right? There's no right or wrong answer. Once you've sniffed the wine in your glass, you're then going to take a small sip. What you want to do when you take that sip in your mouth, you want to swish it all around. Get it on your gums, on the roof of your mouth, on your tongue, under your tongue, through your teeth. You want to swish it around just to see what happens. Does your mouth begin to water? Is the wine high acidity? Do you get other flavors on your palate that you didn't smell in the glass when you were sniffing it? So once you tasted the wine and you have a thought or two, yes, I like it. No, I don't. That's the simplest. You then are going to take the piece of cheese that is appropriate with pairing. Now, if you're really adventurous, you can definitely try other cheeses with other wines and mix and match, and certainly up to you. But once you've taken a sip of the wine, swallowed, taken a bite of cheese, swallowed, taken another sip of wine, it's really nice to see if the cheese impacts the wine or the wine impacts the cheese. Did you like the wine better after the cheese? Lots of wine are made to go with food, which is why we like to do a little cheese pairing with the wine. Okay, so let's pop into wine number 1. Wine number 1 is this sparkling wine. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to open it. So if you haven't opened it yet, that's fine. We'll open it together. And if you have opened it, pour some in your glass. Now, when we talk about pouring in your glass, you don't want to pour too much wine in the glass because you then can't swirl it, or you might not be able to finish it in time for the next wine. Just pour a small taste, and then at the end, you can pour some more because you have a full bottle. You want to pour maybe like 2-second count is what I like to do. It's somewhere around 2 ounces. 1, 2, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, right? Is a 2-second count. So this is our first wine. Make sure you get that out. And then this is our first cheese, the Cana de Cabra. So just a couple things to remember. When we're talking about bubbly and sparkling wine, whether it's champagne or Prosecco, these wines are under pressure. Under pressure means that there's pressure inside the bottle. I believe there are more people who get injured with opening sparkling wine annually than get attacked by sharks. Okay. So I read that statistic someplace. So certainly you need to use some caution. You don't want to do anything silly. You don't want to shake the bottle. I actually hired someone who had no experience in wine and thought that that's what you're supposed to do, is shake the bottle before you open it. I was like, this is not a rap video. We're not celebrating winning a big championship. Doesn't work that way, right? Do not shake the bottle. I'll tell you about how to in a second. And the pressure in the bottle causes the mousse or the bubbles in the wine. So you get that moussiness, that mousse layer, or the foaminess on the wine. And just to remind you, just to reiterate the pressure, so a car tire typically has about 31 psi in that car tire, or 2.1 ATMs. Prosecco typically has 3 ATMs or 44 psi in the bottle. So it has just as much, if not more, pressure in a car tire. So just be careful. Okay. And when you're shooting that cork out of the bottle, it can reach speeds up to 65 miles per hour. So again, just use some caution. So how do we actually open the bottle? So first things first, I love to get some kind of dish towel. This is just a beachy looking dish towel. And then I take the bottle of sparkling. And the nice thing is the bottle that you have, I left my kit at my restaurant. I'm a little upset by that, but of course I always have sparkling and I always have wines at my house. Gotta keep them ready for when company comes over. There's a little pull tab, which is great. So you can take the foil off nice and easy with this little pull tab. Okay, so you don't have to go get your corkscrew out for this bottle. And the foil should just come right off. Okay, so you take that part off. Okay, then you have a cage. Okay, this cage looks like this, and you pull out this little part of the cage like that, and then you're gonna turn counterclockwise 6 times, exactly 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll notice when I'm doing that, I'm also kind of keeping my finger on the top of it, just in case some crazy thing happened. I don't want this thing to just blow, pop off the top. Okay, so then once I think it's safe, I will take off my crown cap. Now, if I was in a professional setting as a sommelier, I would not take off this crown cap because this is one extra, this cage. This is one extra layer of safety, and I would actually just loosen it and attempt to take the cork off with this on it, but loosened, of course. All right, so I take off my cage. This is also called a muselet in French, in case you are ever on Jeopardy and you want to sound fancy, or with some friends and you want to impress them. And then I take my little towel and I kind of throw it on top here. Okay, so guess what? If this thing explodes, the towel is going to stop it. Not explodes. If the cork comes shooting out, the towel is going to stop it. I'm not going to break a window. Also, you want to hold it at a 45-degree angle away from somebody's face, ideally away from a window, right? Let's not try to break anything. And then you're going to twist the bottom of the bottle while still holding onto the cork, and you will begin to feel the pressure. And what you want to sort of do is you want to fight that pressure. You want to kind of push the cork gently, but with some pressure, into the bottle so that you just make a nice little, tiny little. Well, that was a little too loud. I would have failed my exam if that was me. Listen, at my restaurant, I want it to be as loud as humanly possible. We're celebrating something, we're drinking, we're toasting, we're having a great time. If I'm at a fine dining restaurant with maybe a Michelin star or something, that little That's all it should make, this little hiss. All right, then you're just gonna pour some in your glass. I don't use champagne flutes unless I'm just drinking or toasting with some friends. If I'm tasting wine, I just use a normal wine glass. This is about the amount that you probably want to put in. Okay, and go ahead and go take a sniff. If you haven't sniffed already, now it's time to drink some. So sniff, sniff, sniff. Okay, has a little like toasty, yeasty note to it, but I get like apples and lemon, like green apple. Okay, when you're ready to taste it, you just take a small sip. Mm, mm. Very pleasant, very nice, juicy. My mouth is watering. I'm salivating. That's the acidity in the wine interacting with my salivary glands. So when you do eat or drink something that has high acidity to it, your mouth will begin to water. Your salivary glands will be activated, and it will start to producing some saliva in your mouth. And the way you can tell this out, or the way you can test this, and you put your chin all the way down to your neck here, and keep your mouth open a little bit. Okay, just a tiny bit, and see how much you drool after you swallowed that wine. The more drool, the higher acid. That's how, when I'm taking a blind exam, if I have to assess the acidity in a wine, that's how I could tell. If I'm drooling like a Saint Bernard, it's probably a lot of acidity. If it's not so much, then it's probably less acidic, and it helps me then identify what the grape variety is that I'm blind tasting. So this first wine that we're drinking is from the Veneto. It is from Italy. The Veneto is in the northeastern part of Italy, right where Venice is. So it's nice because it's the 8th highest producing wine region in Italy. The proximity to Venice makes it an attractive tourist spot, right? So lots of people visit Venice and then want to go on a little wine country tour, and they'll make it up to the Veneto region. And specifically here, the town we're looking at is Treviso. Treviso is where the wine that you're drinking is from. It's an excellent location for grape growing. You have the Alps in the north that help bring down some cooling breezes. You have Lake Garda to the west right here, helps moderate the climate. And then you have the Adriatic Sea to the southeast. Of course, that's where Venice is. So it's this really nice area, perfect conditions for grape growing. This area is known for Soave, Prosecco, Valpolicella, Amarone, and they also make a lot of large volume Pinot Grigio as well. Okay, lots of vineyards in this space. So the wine that you're tasting is kind of like a Prosecco, and I'll talk about that in a second. So how do you make a Prosecco? So first you have to start with really ripe, juicy grapes. So you harvest your grapes, you bring them into the winery, and then you press them. You might put them in a machine, right? You might get a basket press, but you're going to gently press the grapes because you don't want to extract any of the nasty bitter oils or tannin from the seeds. The grape seeds, all wine grapes have seeds, and those grape seeds are not very pleasant when you extract any of the oils. You ever chew on a grape seed? It's pretty gross. So you want to avoid that. So gentle pressing, and then you make a wine. So just like any other wines that we're drinking tonight, you make a still wine, okay? But you're not done, right? You take that still wine and then you put it into a second tank, okay? And these tanks are under pressure, right? So they're pressurized tanks. They're closed, and you add a little more yeast and a little more sugar to that tank. And the yeast eat the sugar and make more alcohol and some carbon dioxide. And because the tank is closed and pressurized, the carbon dioxide has no place to go. So that CO2 gets ingested into the wine, right? And it basically is sparkling. So you make a still wine first, and then you make a sparkling wine after that. So then you're going to ferment. You're going to ferment it until it creates enough bubbles, or the yeast are done, and then you're going to bottle it up again under pressure, and maybe wait a month or so, and then it'll be out to the market. So pretty quick method. You do have to make that still wine first, and then you have to make that the bubbles after. It's not like a soda stream or like carbonation that you would any other carbonated beverage. You literally are doing a second fermentation process. First fermentation to make your base wine, second fermentation to make the bubbles. So you are doing a two-step process here, and that's why you get these really fun, delicious bubbles in your glass. Okay, so let's talk about this wine. This is from Vigneti del Sole, vines in the sun, by the way. And it's called Pecorino, is what the name of the wine is called, Pecorino. This is what it looks like. This is what you should be drinking. It hails from Treviso, which is, of course, in the Veneto. And I call that the land of Prosecco. And Treviso happens to be the birthplace of tiramisu. You could look it up. And they're very proud of that. And why is this not Prosecco if it's from the area that Prosecco is from? The grapes. So in Italy, when you see something like on the fourth bottle, the red wine that you're going to drink, you'll see that there is a little tag that says DOC on it here, one of these little labels that you see on a lot of Italian wines. If you're drinking Chianti, you might see that on the Chianti label. If you're drinking Barolo or Brunello or any other like Italian wine, you may see that DOC or DOCG label on the wine. And the reason you don't see that here is because the grapes inside this wine only have 30% Glera, which is the classic Prosecco grape, has 40% Chardonnay and 30% Pinot Nero or Pinot Noir. We call it Pinot Nero in Italy. And of course, it is from Treviso. Now, why can it not be called Prosecco? The Prosecco law is written that it must have 85% of that Glera grape. Again, a grape that's pretty localized to the northeast of Italy. You don't see Glera being grown all over the world. It's not like Chardonnay or Cabernet Sauvignon or Sauvignon Blanc, where you might see that grape everywhere. Those might be French grapes, but they're grown all over the world. We call them international grapes. Glera is an Italian grape, and it's really localized to the area. So this says 85% Glera is the minimum by law in order for it to be called Prosecco. 15% then could be made up of some other grapes, Chardonnay, Pinot Nero, for example. They're defying the laws. This producer, they make a Prosecco, but I actually like this wine better than their Prosecco. I think it has a little more texture, a little more body, a little more interest because of the blend in this wine. So this is my preference at the restaurant. This wine is labeled as extra brut. Extra brut, just to give you an idea of what that means, it's a little sweeter. And again, by sweet, I don't think the wine was overly sweet. I think it's nicely balanced. It's a little bit sweeter than brut. So a lot of times you might see brut or extra brut. So this is 17 grams per liter of residual sugar, and it can be served with a soft cheese or antipasto, right? Great starting wine. Also great with nothing. You could just drink it. You don't have to eat anything. Also great for mimosas and bellinis. So this is my go-to at the restaurant whenever I need a sparkling wine for a cocktail, or I need, we do mimosa flights with bellinis, guavinis made with guava puree, peach bellini as well. We're using Pecorino because this is our workhorse. We love this wine. We think it's delicious. The cheese that we pair this with is that white cheese, the one that looks a little soft in the middle, the one we showed you before. That is Cana de Cabra. This is from Murcia, Spain. It is a goat's milk cheese. And the cool thing about that cheese is the whole thing is edible. If you're not down with the bloomy rind on the outside, that's okay. You don't have to eat it. But this cheese, it ripens from the outside in. So depending on, like the log that we receive or the logs that we received, it might be a little more aged, and therefore it might have two different colors within the circle. So the outer part's going to be a little more aged. What I would do is I would taste a piece of just the aged part, which is the outer layer, and then taste the fresher stuff inside, which is not as aged yet. But that whole, if you let that log sit, the whole thing would actually turn to like the aged format. Kind of cool when you think about it. Notes on this cheese: it's creamy, it's dense, has a velvety like pate on the inside, savory, salty, citrusy. Also tangy, right? Kind of goes great with this wine. Really nice tang to the cheese, nice acidity, and nice balance with the wine. And it's, you can certainly, as mentioned, you can certainly eat the bloomy rind. It's 100% edible, but it's certainly up to you. That rind is similar to like a brie rind. The cheese is not brie. The cheese is goat, and it is from Spain. Okay. Hopefully you like this wine. what you think of the wine. If you're using the chat feature on a scale of 1 to 5, 1, you hated it, 5, you loved it. You're welcome to put your rating there. Just like to see what you're thinking. Ooh, we got 5. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's fun. It's easy to drink. If you like fruit liqueurs, or if you like Saint Germain, which is an elderflower liqueur, if you like that kind of thing, you can add a little bit of that, right? You can add a little bit of, you can make a Kir Royale, add a little bit of black currant liqueur. We got another 5. We got a 3. Okay, so that's middle of the road there. So yeah, so fun wine, nice and easy to drink, super tasty. Okay. And again, it's just meant to pop and drink. All right. Oh, one other thing. You can also, if you're not going to finish this bottle tonight, or if you don't have enough buddies drinking with you tonight, and you're like, oh, I'm worried that it's gonna go flat. If you keep it open, it will go flat. You can buy on Amazon. Maybe next year we'll make sure we send this in an email ahead of time. You can buy like a little closure, a sparkling wine closure for like $5 on Amazon, and it lasts forever. And those are great, helps keep the bubbles in. We use them at the wine bar. But if you're not going to finish it, you also can let this sit. So what we do with this, we actually make a strawberry champagne mousse, that we put on some waffles during brunch at the restaurant. And we use or we intentionally make it flat, some of our sparkling wine. So just, you can always use it to cook. You can make a syrup out of sparkling wine, once you let it kind of sit on the counter and get flat. If you don't drink the whole thing, some people will look at you like give you a strange face, like, if I don't drink it, what? Okay, let's talk about wine number 2. Wine number 2 is a white wine. And we are serving this white wine with the blue cheese. Okay. And again, I apologize if you don't like blue. I know blue is pretty polarizing, but this blue is so delicious. I really just wanted to make sure I paired this particular wine with some blue cheese for a slightly specific reason. So let's talk a little bit about this. This wine, it's called Evolutio. It is made from a grape called Furmint. Furmint. Okay. This wine and the grape is from Hungary, the country. And the region that the wine is from is called Tokai. And you'll see on your bottle here, there is an embossing of the word Tokai. So kind of nice bottle. They actually have a little embossing on the bottle itself. When you're opening up a screw cap, I want to just show you how I open up a screw cap. So most of the time people will just take the screw cap and they'll just twist from the top. I never recommend people do that for kind of 2 reasons. One, there is a slight chance that you might strip the threads on the cap. What I do is I actually hold from the collar, from this part down here. I hold from the collar and twist from the collar. And listen, perfect every time. This way, if something messed up, or the cap, the cap got threaded, I don't know what might happen. It has happened to me before. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, does anybody have a screwdriver? Because I can't get this thing open. And again, it might sound so simple with the screw cap, but the fail-proof way of opening a screw cap bottle is easily by just twisting the collar. Okay, so tip number whatever I'm giving you here, or how the professionals should do it. Some people, I'm not really this talented, they'll roll it on their forearm, and somehow, I don't know what it's grabbing onto, but it somehow it able to crack open a screw cap. I saw a woman who works for the wine glass company Riedel, do that. My mind was blown. I could not believe that someone could open a bottle on the arm like that. Anyway, kind of random. Okay, so this region of Hungary, Tokai, northeast corner of Hungary, kind of borders Slovakia and Ukraine. It was really well known for sweet wines. Dessert wines. The wines are they're late harvested, so they pick the grapes very late so that there's lots of sugar. Grapes are just another fruit. The longer it hangs on the vine, the more ripe the fruit gets. Just like strawberries. If you're growing strawberries right now, there's a good chance that the strawberries aren't ready to be eaten yet. They might still be green or slightly pink. They're not really bright red and juicy. But of course, as your strawberries hang on the vine, as long as you're not competing with squirrels or other animals trying to get at your strawberries, um, the the grapes are the same way. The longer they stay in the vine, the sweeter and more sugar they develop. So that's what they do in this Tokai region. They wait until the grapes are super duper ripe, and they late harvest, and then they make a sweet wine out of those grapes. This wine is not sweet; it is dry. But most people who taste it feel like it has a little bit of sweetness to it. And I always like to include at least one wine that might be a little sweet in this class. And this is right on the border there. I mean, it is actually labeled as dry, but it has a little bit of ripeness to it that might make you feel like, maybe this is a little sweet. So when you taste this wine, definitely pour some in your next glass, swirl, take a sniff, a sniff, and then take a sip and see what you think. The wine is very clean. It's fermented in stainless steel. So you're going to just really get all the natural fruit flavors. You're not getting oak or anything weird going on. You'll get stone fruits like peach and nectarine. I love this wine. It's on my current wine list. We sell a lot of this wine because it's just easy to drink, kind of crushable, wonderful for summertime. We might call that like a porch pounder or a patio sipper. Like all of a sudden it's gone, right? Because you were drinking it and it's just easy to drink, really nice and tasty. You'll have a little bit of floral notes to this wine. It might have a little green apple, some lemon. The wine is really great with Thai food. I would pair this with maybe some spicier foods. I think that would go really nice. A lot of people struggle to pair spicy food, and they might pick a wine that might be too high in alcohol. When you're pairing for spicy food, like Indian food or Thai food, Thai, number 5, my pad Thai. When you're pairing with spicy food, you want to pair a wine that actually isn't as highly alcoholic as many wines are. So you want to go lower on the alcohol spectrum, somewhere below 12% ABV, because the heat of the food and the heat of the alcohol, they actually contrast one another versus complement. So if you pick something that's a little bit on the lower end of the ABV scale, this happens to be 11%, so it's pretty perfect for that. So why did I pair this with the blue cheese? So this is blue Perozola. This is a sheep's milk cheese, and it is from the town of La Peral in northern Spain, right on the Cantabrian Bay. So that's all the way in the north side of Spain, really close to the Basque region of Spain. And this cheese actually won the best cheese of Spain a couple years back. So very special cheese, very delicious cheese. Remember, I told you I needed you to try. If you're ever going to try a blue cheese, this is the one. It's creamy and nutty, and the blue part, right, that blue veining, that sharpness is pretty mild. So for me, sometimes Gorgonzola could be too piquant. It could be too sharp for me. I love this cheese because I feel like that the real sharp part of the blue cheese is actually mild and really great for wine. The other thing I like to do is, because this wine has, it's not as high alcohol and has maybe a little bit of sweetness to it. That's what you pair blue cheese with. The classic thing to do with blue cheese when you're having a cheese and wine pairing, the blue cheese is a 5. Thank you. So with that, we should start reading the cheeses too. The thing about about blue cheese is that you normally save it as a dessert cheese. So it's normally poured with a very sweet wine, Moscato d'Asti, Sauterne from Bordeaux, even the very sweet wines from Hungary made of ferment, which those are also called Tokai. So you typically pair blue with something extra sweet, and I really love this blue. And hopefully, these are special cheeses. If you go to ShopRite, your local ShopRite, you might not be able to find them there. You may have to, Google or find a specialty store that would have these cheeses. And I think the one kind of cool thing about the cheese, it pairs really. Sorry, I was reading one of the comments in the chat. It pairs really nicely with the wine. And also, if you didn't like the wine before, you might like it more after you have the cheese. Again, because things are meant to pair together. There's 65,000 different wines that you could buy in New Jersey, right? I mean, you go to the liquor store and you see 500 Chardonnays on the wall. Like, how do you know what to pick? So this is kind of the thing. Most wine is made to go with food and to enjoy with the meal, especially a lot of the European stuff. And that cheese is crumbly. Yes. It's and it drove this is on our menu. So we're not strangers to the cheese, but it drove to cut cheese, that much cheese for all of the kits. It really drove the chefs crazy at Versi Vino. I felt bad for them because they were like, oh my God, the cheese is so crumbly. So some of the pieces, if it looked really small, I might have put two in a bag because they were like, some just looked so tiny, but we lose a lot of cheese when it's so crumbly. Okay. All right. Great. So what'd you think of that wine? Wine number two. Thanks, Sharon, for that. Love this pairing. What'd you think of the wine? On a scale of 1 to 5, when you hated it, 5, you loved it. Again, you're welcome to use the little chat. I have a little dump cup. Oh, we got a 4.5 here. Okay, half points. Love them. I have a little dump cup with me, or spit cup, because I need to make sure that I could function tonight. Oh, I really love this one. 553. Okay, right. It's all about your taste, and really what you like to drink. But I wanted to mention one thing about screw caps, because I actually saw a really cool article this week about the great screw cap debate. And some people come into Versi Vino and they're like, I'm looking for wine for a present. And I might start to read the person a little bit. And I'm like, well, how much do you want to spend? I'm like, oh, like $25. I'm like, okay, let me find you wine. And if I go for a bottle with a screw cap, sometimes I'll see someone's face go, make a weird face, like, oh, that's lowbrow or something. For me, I love a screw cap. One less cork I have to open, which is great. And definitely don't mind a screw cap. And the foils on the corks. I mean, I always have paper cuts or foil cuts from like some really sharp foils. So a couple things, there are benefits to screw caps and benefits to natural cork. It's consistent, always going to seal your quart, your wine. They're easy to use. They're cost effective. Natural cork lets the wine breathe. So if a wine needs a little bit of age, it's great to have a natural cork because it does actually breathe a little bit through the cork. Really, really tiny little ingress of air, of oxygen into the wine is really good for wines that need to age. People like the aesthetics. And then, of course, there's the tradition, like, the French love their screw caps. Love their corks. South Africa loves their screw caps. Like 90% of the wines out of New Zealand are bottled under screw cap. There are some disadvantages to screw caps. Perceived quality, that's what I feel when I recommend a wine with a screw cap. And also that limited oxygen exchange. They're pretty inert, and most of the time won't allow oxygen in. They're doing some decent studies, making screw caps a little better, and putting some interesting technology in them to maybe help with some of that. And then with corks can be dangerous, right? There could be wine faults. There's something called TCA, trichloroanisole, which is something that perpetuates in cork at the cork factory. And if it's in the wine, that's when you might hear someone say, oh, this is a corked wine, because it kind of smells like wet cardboard or wet dog. Not very pleasant. Probably don't want to drink that wine, especially at a restaurant. That's why you typically, when a waiter pours you some wine, for you to assess it, it's not whether you like it or not. It's actually, is the wine okay? Is it sound? Does it smell like cork? And if it does smell like cork, and if that ever happens, I would, as a wine professional, I would smell it, and I'm never going to make you be able to drink the wine. And we would just get a credit for it or something like that. Anyhow, they're difficult to use. They're hard to open sometimes. You need to have a corkscrew. I always have one unless I'm flying. You know how many TSA have taken away from me? Because I always have a corkscrew in my bag. And the corks should be variable, right? The different in batches, and they're not very cheap to have. So wines with screw caps are not necessarily bad. It technically means that they're probably not super duper age-worthy wines, but something that could be really delicious that you should be drinking within the next couple of years, and bottled under screw cap, and it will still be wonderful. Wine number 3. Where are we at? So it's time, let me just double check. It's time for rosé. Now, I don't want you to think all rosés should be sweet or all rosés are sweet. We kind of gotta, your rosé should be a little lighter in color. When we take the bottles, when we take pictures of rosé, they never come out the right color. They always come because of whatever wall is behind behind them. But your wine should look like this, and the cheese that you have also is funny. This is the cheese. I'm sure this is when the cheese is super duper fresh, and when they first make it, as soon as they vacuum seal it and comes here, all the pretty color in the flowers goes away, and then it's more like oranges and yellows of the flowers. So anyhow, so we have a rosé. This is when you need your corkscrew, and you need to open your bottle. And this is French, so of course cork, right? Because the French love their corks. And the cheese is the one that has the dried looking flowers on the outside, or the dry looking leaves on the outside. Okay. Let's pop into this rosé. So you should pour yourself some wine, please. Remember about, a 2-second count in your glass. All right. And what you want to do, of course, if you're using the same glass as you have before, what I would recommend you do is season your glass. So maybe not pour 2 seconds, maybe pour 1 second, or if you did 2 seconds, that's okay too. When I season my glass, I basically turn it on almost on the horizontal. Be careful because the wine will fall out of the glass, right? We got gravity working against us here. So what I want to do though, instead of swirling it, what I do is I just rotate the glass with my hand, just so that the wine goes all around the glass. Then I'll take a sip or I'll dump that. Usually I drink my rinse, and then I'll pour a fresh pour of the next wine. So if I'm using the same glass, tasting multiple wines, I like to try to season my glass with the next wine. We don't rinse with water. Water will change the pH of the wine. Don't rinse with water. Rinse with the next wine in your sets is the idea. And again, you just pour a tiny, tiny bit. Just get it around the glass, hold it on the side, swirl, like rotate your glass. You could dump it or just taste it. Okay. So let's talk about rosé. Some of the basics of rosé. Number 1, rosés are made from red grapes. Okay. Red grapes and red grapes alone. They could be from a single varietal like Cabernet Sauvignon, or a blend of red varietals like Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. Okay. You can call a rosé is the French word. You might also hear rosato, which is Italian. You might hear rosado, which is Spanish. You might hear pink wine, which is cheeky and maybe American, and also blush, which is the old school, super sweet Sutter Home. I can't think of what it's called. Whites Infidel. Whites. I tried to get that out of my brain. The whites and stuff. And most people, because of that big push of white zin in the late 80s and early 90s, most people think that rosé is sweet, but 90% of the rosé out there in the world is actually dry. It's not made to be sweet. It's made to be crushable and delicious and really fruit forward, but not sweet. So rosé is made across the globe, and it's usually made from a local varietal from that region. So if it was made from, for example, Cabernet Sauvignon, it might be from Bordeaux. If it's made from Sangiovese, it might be from Tuscany, right? The rosé. So it's typically made locally in that way. The shade of the rosé can go from really dark pink. It can go to salmon colored, to bubblegum pink, to onion skin is like the lightest color rosés that you might have. That, what that inside of the onion, like that, after you peel the first layer off, that next layer, right before the onion, that's the onion skin color. So the color is really derived from what grape you use and also how the wine was made. So the grapes, just like, red, black, white grapes, have different pigments to the skin, different thickness to the skins as well. So the thicker the skin, the more color in the grape. So for example, Syrah or Shiraz, same grape, same, Aussies call it Shiraz. rest of the world kind of calls it Syrah. So Syrah is a very thick-skinned, very dark-skinned grape. It will produce a rosé that has more color to it. Okay. The great thing about rosé is that it's affordable. You can find rosé for anywhere from $10 to like $35 a bottle. Sweet, right? So you're not going to have to spend a fortune on it. And if you're spending $35, you're doing it wrong. Okay. Unless you're buying a very special rosé that might have been aged, that was meant to be aged. Rosés are meant to be consumed very young, like 1 to 2 years, maybe maximum 2 years. We're currently in 2024. You should be drinking, if you're drinking rosé, it should say 2023, which is the current vintage, right? So anything that was grown last fall, harvested last fall, made into wine, bottled, shipped, made it to America, and is now on the shelves of your liquor store, your restaurants. So that's a 2023, very young, very youthful, very fresh, very vibrant. If you're drinking a 2022, you can probably tell that like the fruit might have fallen off, might be a little more citrusy, and any vibrant fruit flavors that you might get kind of disappear. And I usually tell people that, for rosé, if you really want the perfect temperature, pull it out of your fridge, pour yourself a glass, I don't know, go to the bathroom for a second and then come back and your rosé would be perfect, right? Or pop a bag of popcorn or something and your rosé temperature is perfect. When a wine's too cold, I get it. If you love to put ice in your wine, if you like really, really cold beverages, you do whatever makes your heart content. When you're really tasting something for quality or style or some reason that you're tasting the wine, you should drink it at like the temperature that it's intended to be consumed at. And this is just below fridge temp, or just above fridge temp, right? Fridge temp is somewhere around like 36 degrees Fahrenheit. At least that's what my refrigerator set at. So if you drink it somewhere between like 40, 45, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll be great, right? You'll get all of the flavors and all of the beauty of rosé. Okay. 5 minutes out of the fridge is what we say for the bottle. All right. How's this rosé made? Hopefully you're smelling and you're sniffing and you're tasting it. So you harvest the grapes. Okay, so I kind of talked about this with the Prosecco. This is a little different. You harvest your grapes. You then crush them, hopefully not with hairy legs like the picture right there. But you crush them. And again, like the foot treading thing is not very popular. They don't really do this much any longer. It's more of just it's just a silly experience, but they use machines to crush grapes nowadays. And then the skins stay in contact with the juice. Now the juice, right, or the inside of a grape, just like our home grapes that we eat, is clear. All of these grapes, Syrah, Carignan, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, all these grapes, you cut them in half, they will bleed clear. It's not red inside. The only thing that has color is the skin. So when you crush those grapes and you break open the grape and you allow the juices to flow, you keep that juice in contact with the skin for a bunch of hours, maybe days. And that length of time that the juice stays in contact with the skin is what creates the color in the bottle, right? That plus the thickness of the skins and the grapes that you're using. But it's really about how long the skin stays in contact with the juice. If you're ever at a professional wine tasting, you're drinking a rosé, you can say, how long do you keep the grapes in contact with or the skins in contact with the juice? You can say, how long do you keep the grapes macerating? That's another word to use. And it's pulling all the colors from there. Then you take the grapes, you give them a gentle squeeze because now you just want the juice. You want the skins away. And then you take that juice, that pink color juice, and grape juice, literally, and then you put it in a tank and you begin fermentation and you make a wine and you make it like a white wine, very low temperature, slow, to make a really delicious wine. This wine that we're drinking tonight is from France. This is the map of France and all the French wine regions. Most people have heard of Provence, and Provence is the most popular region for rosé. It's really like 90% of what they make. They grow red grapes intentionally just for rosé. They're not really making a lot of red wines, but they make these beautiful seaside, pool-worthy, beach-worthy rosé that are really delicious and super fun to drink. The rosé that we're drinking tonight is actually from northern France. It's from the Loire Valley, which is this green area here. And specifically, it's from this area kind of right in the middle of Spain, right in the middle of France, called the central vineyards of the Loire Valley. So right here. And this area is very well known for Sancerre. This wine that we're drinking, and I'll talk to you a little more about that when I show you my map of the specific central vineyards of the Loire Valley. This is Domaine Rainbow Pinot. Rainbow is a very popular name in this region. So you might see, you know, Paul Pierre Rainbow, or you might see Jean-Luc Rainbow, right? But you'll see the name all over lots of wines. It's a very popular surname in this area. This particular appellation is called Côte du Génois. So Génois is kind of, you could just say this is from the Génois, and this is what the appellation is called, Côte du Génois. Just like you would have Sancerre. So if you take a look at where Côte du Génois is, it's right here. Okay, this is the river, the Loire River. It's across the river from Sancerre, and it's right next to Pouilly-Fumé, which certain people might, if you're a Sauvignon Blanc drinker from this area, from France, you would know these names might sound familiar because a lot of people drink Sauvignon Blanc from Sancerre. It's mineral, it's crisp, it's delicious. Or from Pouilly-Fumé. Those are two very big Sauvignon Blanc regions. In Côte du Génois, they do grow Sauvignon Blanc, but they also make really delicious rosé. Out of what grapes? Grape varieties here, 80% Pinot Noir, 20% Gamay. So two red grapes, both French grapes, both grown in the area, in the region, is what makes this wine. What are you thinking of the wine so far? If you're free to chat or put a 1 to 5, 5 you love it, 1 you hate it. This wine is fermented in stainless steel. It is super fragrant, ripe citrus, red fruits, strawberries, wildflowers, light, little spicy, it's berries, it's zesty, some tangerine. This wine is beautiful. This is a stunning wine. I was so excited when I tasted this wine, when a sales rep brought it in. And I was like, oh, this is going to be really nice with like cheese and charcuterie. Yeah, I would do this. Or maybe even some barbecue foods. Yeah, that sounds perfect too. Great as an aperitif, again, just on its own, some barbecued meats, summer salads, even like a pasta salad, it would be awesome with, but also charcuterie and cheese. And of course, the pool, right? This is a pool pounder wine, right? You know, you bring a bottle to the pool and it'll be gone in a minute. So the cheese that I pair this with is the one that has flowers on the outside and the one that actually tastes like flowers, and some tea. The cheese that I pair this with is the queso de oveja, so cheese of sheep with flowers. And it is from La Mancha, Spain. So that's right in the central part of Spain. And it's covered with dried flowers. And then it's aged and it comes out to us. A couple things about the cheese. It has notes of jasmine and lavender and citrus. So again, I feel like it would pair really well with a rosé, especially with like the floral notes in the wine. All right. Sounds fun. I wish I had this cheese with me. I had some extra and I forgot it all. I went to the restaurant today and then I forgot it there. Okay. I'll let you keep snacking on your cheese and your wine. Very refreshing, right? It is summertime. Like to me, that is summer in a glass or in a bottle, right? I think there might be a wine called that, so I don't want to get sued or anything for like patent infringement or copyright infringement. But it is really like it is a certain, you know, it's summertime. We're ready to drink some rosé, go to a barbecue, go to a picnic. Picnic wine sounds perfect. Okay. Our last wine and our final wine is for the red wine drinkers. Remember, we always try to do one of, you know, every sort of color to kind of go through the class, just to make sure that we're covering everybody. So wine number 4 is the Pietrame Edizione Limitata Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. Okay, that's our wine number 4. So a lot to say on a small little label there. And the cheese that we're going to pair this with is the San Simone. So that's the one that's kind of actually cut almost like a pear shape. I mean, the cheese is a teardrop shape is what we call that. Yeah, so get those two ready. Pop open your bottle if you haven't done that yet. And by pop it, I mean go get a corkscrew, go get a wine key, and open your wine. And let's move on to we've started in Italy and we're going to end in Italy. Best country in the world after the US, of course. Best wine country. I might be slightly partial with my love of Italy. So this is Italy. The grape that we are drinking in this wine is a really popular grape, but a lot of people may or may not know this grape. It is called Montepulciano. And the Montepulciano grape is scarcely grown outside of Italy. Remember how, if I mentioned, oh yeah, Pinot Noir, and you're like, oh yeah, I like to drink Pinot Noir from California, or Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh yeah, I like to drink Cabernet from Napa, or Riesling. It's not just like a German grape. You're like, I like to drink Riesling from the Finger Lakes, right? No one says I like to drink Montepulciano from someplace else, right? It's really an indigenous grape to Italy. It's grown here. It grows really well in Italy. And this is they grow the grape and they make the wine. And it just doesn't grow well elsewhere. So it grows really well here and not many other places. The thing I like about the grape is it has some really tart cherry notes, red plum, strawberry fig. You also can have some herbaceous notes on the wine, right? Or on the grapes. You get balsamic, coffee, leather, smoke. Yeah, so it kind of creates a really delicious wine, great food wine, really, really great food wine. This is a wine that I might say I probably wouldn't drink this wine just on its own. It depends on your style and how you like to drink. I like to drink lighter style wines on its own, but like red wines, I feel like I like to have them with meat. The grape and the wines made from them is certainly ageable. You can age these wines for, a couple of years, 2 to 4 years, if you can hold on to it that long. But you don't have to age it, which I love about Montepulciano. Nice thing about Montepulciano is it's drinkable immediately, but can age a bit. Okay, let's talk about Pietrame Montepulciano di Abruzzo. So first and foremost, this is the map of Italy. Remember, our first wine, the sparkling that we drank, was up in the Veneto, up here. This wine is actually from Abruzzo, so from central Italy here, Abruzzo. I don't know if that's central or southern, but we'll say central. So central, it's right on the coast, the Adriatic coast. And just to familiarize yourself, this is Tuscany, and that's where Florence is. And then this region is called Lazio, and that's where Rome is. And Sicily's down here. Piedmont is here, right? We have all these different wine regions. The crazy thing about Italy, and the thing that drives wine students a little crazy about Italy, is that every region grows wine. Like you think about America, and it's like, okay, we got the West Coast, we got Willamette Valley, we have Washington State, California, not much in the middle, right? Not much. Kansas isn't growing much wine or producing much wine. And then you have the Finger Lakes, maybe New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, right? We got Hudson Valley, got Norfolk, like Long Island. Every single province, every single region in Italy grows wine, right? Makes wine, grows grapes. It's all over the country. So, there's a lot of memorization that has to happen when it comes to Italian wines. So this wine, it says it's a limited edition. Pietrame means stones, and that is reflective of the vineyards and the stones in the vineyards. Pietra means stone, and then Pietrame means stones. This wine actually doesn't see oak. And what I was trying to do with all the wines is because they're more summertime wines, I didn't want them to have a big oaky note to them. And I feel like a lot of oak is more like warm or cooler weather, like sweater weather kind of wines. So this is fermented and aged in stainless steel. So again, it's, pretty clean and, delicious. Has powerful soils, and it creates this firm, fine structure, good balance. It's pretty complex in flavors, has a little smokiness, black cherry, black currant, cranberry, some spiciness. Because it has a smoky note, I would pair this with meats, like barbecue meats, smoked meats, charcuterie meats, like that kind of thing, cured meats, meats. How many times am I going to say meats? Brisket sandwich. That's what I had thought when I tasted this one. I was like, ooh, I think this would be great with brisket. Tacos, so like spicy tacos, and pizza. They go great with tomato sauce too, because that's what they serve this. They serve this with pizza in Abruzzo. The cheese that you're gonna have with this has a little smokiness to it. And this is San Simon. This is from Galicia in Spain. Galicia is in the northwestern, all the way the northwestern corner of Spain. And it's, it's pretty traditional. It's a cow's milk cheese. So we had one goat, two sheeps, one cow. Okay. And it's a cow's milk cheese. It's buttery, has like a buttery texture to it. I call this like semi-firm. It's firm, but it's chewy. It's not like I'd call like a Parmigiano Reggiano. I call something like that like a firm cheese. But this kind of has a little chew to it. It's aged for 3 months, and then they smoke it for 90 minutes. 90 minutes of smoke is what the cheese gets. And before you smoke it, it's actually like pale white. It's actually white colored cheese. You smoke it with birchwood, and then it gets that nice golden orange color on the outside. Okay. Again, take a sip of the wine, take a bite of the cheese. I think these two are really nice symbiotic pairs. Okay. Excellent. Well, if you're still with us, it's 8 o'clock. We can't have a wine tasting class without a little quiz. Don't worry. No one's going to know what you have to say. And if you get any of these wrong, but you are welcome to use the chat if you want to answer them here. It's a short little quiz. And again, no one's keeping score or anything. Okay. So let's see how much you remember. And there's no Scantron. My gosh, am I showing my age with the Scantron? Okay. Question 1, true or false? Rosé wines are made from blending red and white wines. Is that true or is that false? I can't hear you if you're shouting, just so you know. All right, got a couple answers so far. Okay. Okay, the answer to this is B, false. Absolutely. Rosé wines are made from red grapes. It's not blending red and white wines. I know that's like a fun little joke, right? You put a little red and a little white, or you put maybe put a little red wine into a little white wine and you make a rosé. You could do that at home. It's not called rosé. I don't know what that's called. Scary mixture or something. A rosé is made from red grapes, and just the taking the color of the skins and just in short contact. Okay, which country were you paying attention is the question. Which country did all of the cheese from tonight's class come from? Was it Italy? Was it Spain? Was it France? Or was it the USA? All right, tonight's cheeses, despite it being the best country in the world, second best, did not come from Italy or the USA. They all came from Spain. And I do that for 2 reasons. Number one, I really love Spanish cheese. And I feel like in America, we basically know cheeses, the Spanish cheese that we know is manchego, right? Manchego. That's what we eat. That's what's always at the grocery store, at the cheesemonger, at ShopRite or Wegmans or wherever you go grocery shopping. You could always find Aldi's, you could always find manchego. So I wanted to put and pair some unique Spanish cheeses. Again, they're not so unique that you can't get them. They clearly are here. But if you really wanted them, you might have to go to a specialty store to get them, and then seek them out. You can also order them online. I feel like Murray's Cheese in New York City, Manhattan, would have them. But any sort of good cheese shop would definitely have these cheeses. Okay. Question 3. Which part of France produces the most popular rosé? Is it the Loire Valley? Is it Bordeaux? Is it Champagne? Or is it Provence? We didn't necessarily drink this tonight. I just said it. The answer to this, I tricked you. This is Provence. So we had a wine from the Loire Valley this evening, which is northern France. And Provence is it's really where it's the workhorse of the rosé regions of France. This is where all the celebrities from Post Malone to Mary J. Blige to everyone, Brad and Brangelina, all of their rosés are from Provence. Okay, question 4. Which Italian wine region is this? This one right here, where the arrow is pointing. Is it Tuscany? Is it Abruzzo? Is it the Veneto? Or is it Sicily? I just talked about this. So this is central Italy. It is where the Montepulciano wine is from. It is, we talked about 2 regions tonight. One is here, this guy, and then this one down here. The one in central Italy is Abruzzo, and this one is the Veneto. Imagine having to memorize all of these. I could barely memorize the counties in New Jersey and where they are. Okay. And our last question, question 5, which country is home to the ferment grape? So that was wine number 2 that we drank. So you could cheat and look at the bottle or answer by memory. Is it the Ukraine? Is it Slovakia? Is it Hungary? Or is it France? Ferment grape calls home. And it looks like everybody's right. It's Hungary. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. Well, you're all very smart. You were all listening. I hope everyone had a great time. I hope you really enjoyed the wines, had some fun. And again, thank you for participating. And maybe you have some extra wine for the weekend, right? Starting Friday or tonight. Maybe you finish them all tonight. No judgment. Whatever you do with the wines. Again, if you don't like a wine, a couple things. Number 1, add some fruit, add some Sprite, add some peach schnapps, add some brandy, make a sangria, Google a sangria recipe. If there's a wine that you didn't like, the still ones, definitely use that for sangria. Make fantastic sangria. And if you really want my specialty sangria recipe, I have one that makes an awesome sangria. I have a great rosé and a great red sangria recipe. Maybe we'll send that out with the show notes. And if you didn't like the red, use it for cooking. Go braise something. Go, use it to deglaze a pan, whatever you need to do. That's what I do if I personally don't like a wine that I just want to drink by the glass. I'm going to do something else with it. Anyhow, thank you so much. I see someone said, please send the recipes. Yeah, I'll send you my personal recipe for red sangria and rosé sangria. Although I think that rosé is just crushable on its own. And I would maybe just don't drink it from the bottle, drink it from a glass. Thank you everyone so much. Thank you for supporting the YMCA Gateway family. Thank you. I hope to see you at our fall event, which I'm not sure has been announced yet, but there is a different event for the fall. And hopefully we'll see you at our fall event and maybe next year at the third summertime wine event, 4 different wines to experience. Have a great, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. All right, November 21st. Keep your eye on what that event is, because it's going to be really fun. Going to be really incredible. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Enjoy your wines. Cheers.